2020 has been kind of a shit show, and that's impossible to deny. I don't think I even have to explain why I'm saying that. And living through this year of national and international panic, crisis, protests, rioting, just uprising, uproar, anger, death, destruction, while simultaneously living through an individualized and personal boredom, lack of progress, inability to do anything, and general hopelessness. I feel as if this year must be discussed in some way. I don't know what I look to get out of this conversation, but I just need to express some things. So, hello YouTube, it's KT. Welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about 2020.
2020, an interesting year to say the least.
I tried to make a timeline of all of the relevant things that have happened this year, but I couldn't even do that because there's just so much that it's like, where do you start? We kick off the year in January with the killing of Qasem Soleimani, which struck a lot of fear into both Iranian and American peoples alike of an oncoming war. Like, we killed their second in command. That's call for war if I've ever heard one. Then we move into February with the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. The story was not so publicized back then, but I think Black communities, and especially my communities because I live in Georgia, we knew about it. We move into March and we get lockdown in April. Rona got worse. I believe Breonna Taylor was killed in April, but it was absolutely a horrible time for Corona. I mean, now is as well, but I would say April was our first peak with that. In May, George Floyd was killed, and the protests really started to kick off with that, and the riots. I mean, things just went to an international level. June and July have been about trying to figure out what's going on with schooling. Kanye West is running for president. We don't know which schools are coming back in the fall, and the ones that are don't really have a plan for students, educators, janitors, anybody who's going to be on campus. Places are reopening. Corona is resurging. But then there are honorable mentions. There are other things that happened. We potentially might have discovered a parallel universe. Kim Jong-un faked his own death. The president told his constituents to drink bleach, and some of them did it. There were the killer hornets, or the killer bees. I refuse to look into that story. I need to sleep peacefully at night. Sorry. It's only July. I don't know when I'm going to upload this, but at the time of filming this, it is only July. And so much has happened. And it's weird. Like, I've lived so many years on this planet, and sure, things happen, but there's usually like one or two big things for the year, and it's like, wow, remember like the Harlem Shake? And they're also usually pretty innocent things. The Harlem Shake, first Black president. That one was big. That one was very large. It's usually little stuff. There's never been, well, I mean, there has, but I haven't been of age to notice a time where there has been this many large, polarizing news stories. It's crazy because it's like we can't even put our focus and attention into everything that needs focus and attention. Like, at one point, the Black Lives Matter movement, protests and riots were still largely being discussed on social media, and people were still largely going. It's starting to kind of decrease at this point, and it's going back to being just Black people talking about it. But this was back when it was huge, and it was Pride Month. And Pride Month basically got swept under the rug when the LGBTQ community has had their fair share of issues, and they still go through discrimination to this day. But they didn't really get their moment in the sun because we were kind of busy with ours. There's also the crisis in Yemen, which is starting to get attention now, But what people don't often realize is when things get media attention, it's late. Like, you're late to the party. The Black Lives Matter movement is not new. The crisis in Yemen is not new. These things have been going on for so long. And it's nice to finally see people start to care about things that don't affect them. It's nice to finally see people sending money to Haiti, caring about the Hispanic children at the border, caring about Yemen and the human sex trafficking going on internationally, including in the US, caring about the missing kids who go missing, even if they're not Caucasian. It's nice to see people finally caring, but it's like, how long can you care for before we go back to sweeping this under the rug? And while you're caring about all of these things, what about the billion other things wrong with this world that are to be ignored? People are really critiquing Jeff Bezos a lot right now for being so rich and doing very little with his money to benefit the greater good of society. And I feel like that's not his responsibility. That's not his job. He doesn't have to do that legally speaking, but morally, you have to look at it and say, I mean, how can you live like this? How can you live knowing that you could do so much to change the world and not even try? But I also have to wonder, can he fix the world? We seem to think that Jeff Bezos has the power to stop world hunger. Maybe he does for a year, a few months, I don't know. But the world is not corrupt because of a lack of money. The world is corrupt because we made it that way on purpose. I don't think Jeff Bezos alone has the power to fix that. And then on an individual level, if we leave like the macro, you're finding a lot of people are struggling with their anxiety, depression, and other mental illnesses right now because you can't go anywhere. You are trapped in your house, a lot of people by themselves, with nothing but your thoughts and your feelings. And that's really hard for a lot of people to take in. There's immunocompromised people who are scared, rightfully so, to go out. There's non-immunocompromised people who aren't going out just to try and help society and help get control over the situation. There's protests for anti-maskers. I get the conspiracy theory aspect of it. Every side of the political debate loves to do that. I get the whole, conflicting medical information. I get that, because at the beginning they were telling us wearing masks isn't going to do anything. I get that they had to come around and, change their opinion, and that can be hard to accept. I get that you're being fed a lot of propaganda by the president, telling you that this disease is the Chinese disease, and they brought it on us on purpose, and they're just trying to kill us, and this is just communism yet again. I get the propaganda. I see how you could come to this conclusion, but I also have to look at it for just what it is and say, I don't see how protecting yourself and the people around you became a political debate. I don't see how you feel like you have a right not to wear a mask, because you don't. That's not a right. That is not in the Constitution that y'all love so much. That's not a thing. And as a matter of fact, you don't have a right to publicly endanger people. That's why we have laws. You can't just go into people's house and kill them or rape them or steal their stuff, because that is an infringement upon their rights to live peacefully and feel safe. People will not feel safe if you are not wearing a mask around them. So, in my opinion, no, you don't have a right to deny medical advice that is for the greater good of everyone around you. So many protests. I guess sitting at home all day, we have nothing to do but to organize protests. So many protests. And it's like, all for what? All the petitions on change.org, all the protests, all the money being raised, all the help that we're doing, I would really love to believe that it's genuinely doing something, that it is genuinely causing change. But I don't know if I fully believe that. There is a law that got passed, and I named after Breonna Taylor, saying that police can't do no-knock warrants anymore, and you have to state that you're police and why you're there. That's already the law. They just renamed it and repurposed it and reposted it so that we would think this was something new. That was already the law. So nothing changed there. Breonna Taylor's killers are still chilling, still out free. George Floyd's have yet to face trial. Neither has Hillary Clinton. Nothing's changed. And I would love to believe that it will, but look at the world. Really look at it. Nothing's ever changed. I think we all had plans for 2020, especially because when things got so thrown off, we were going into summer, and summer vacation is the time for a lot of us to plan to get ahead. I planned to take an online class. Well, I actually didn't. I ended up taking an online class because tuition was cheaper thanks to everything being online. But I had considered taking an online class. I did consider it. I was thinking about it. I planned to get a job and work full-time hours. I had planned to go out with my friends a lot this summer. I really wanted to have fun, turn up, as they say. The college experience that I felt like I was missing, I wanted to try and make up for this summer and just have some fun. I wanted to travel. I was planning to do a road trip by myself, and I was planning to do a trip to Peru. That one wasn't fully planned, but it was something that I was starting to look into when everything changed. You know, I hate to say this one was for me, but I feel like God was kind of like, I've been telling you this for a long time and you're not listening, so I'm going to have to do something more extreme. And I think I've finally learned that I can't try and micromanage and hyper plan every aspect of my life. That's something that I've done since high school, and that's something I've always done. But high school was the first time that it didn't work out the way I planned, and it was hard for me to get past, hard for me to accept, hard for me to, adapt and make new plans. I didn't get into any of the colleges that I applied to on my first run, and it just felt like I had spent the last 12 years of my life doing school for no reason. And obviously adjustments were made. I figured something out. I'm in college now, but that was when I learned to tone down the planning a bit. But as time has gone, summer after summer after summer, things have not gone the way that I planned that they would or that they should. And I've toned it down, and toned it down, and toned it down, and then you finally get to Corona summer, where it literally didn't matter what you planned. Unless you planned to sit in the house by yourself all summer, your plans got thrown off. And that's just that. It absolutely, you couldn't do anything. You honestly still can't. It's just taken years of my plans getting thrown off for me to finally say, I don't need to micromanage my life. I can live in the moment. I can make, guidelines for myself. I can have things that I want to accomplish. But I think planning every single step of the way and only having, a plan A isn't it for me. Even just a plan A and a plan B isn't it for me. I think I should just do what I feel is right, what I feel will help me accomplish my goals. I think I should have goals instead of plans. 2020 has also taught me to be more spontaneous. Now that I absolutely don't have that option, it's like you have to lose something to really appreciate it. You never know what you had until it was gone. And now that I can't just call my friends up and be like, hey, let's go to the club tonight, whatever, it makes me really desire spontaneity and just being able to just do things. Like now, even with my quarantine buddy, going somewhere takes so much of figuring out, where can we go that will allow us to social distance? Do you have your mask? No? Okay, let's go back and get it. What do we need to get through the day? It's just a lot. Yeah, remember when I said I didn't know what my goal was with this conversation? It's starting to kick me in the butt right now because I feel like I've said what I planned to say, and that's it. 2020 has been a year like no other for me. And I liked to, when it first started, I liked to say it was because I was young. I never really paid attention to politics or anything as I was younger. I was alive when 9/11 happened, but I wasn't in New York, and I wasn't really old enough to understand things. So no one really talked to me about it, and it just wasn't a part of my life. So, this has been the biggest experience for the United States and for the world in general since that, I would argue. So it feels like the only reason this is so big to me is because I'm young. But through hearing the opinions of older people, I've come to learn that no, not a lot of people have lived through a pandemic and a wild scare like this. I mean, There was Ebola, but that was handled much more quickly, and at least like there is a cure. There is an option. It's looking like things aren't going to go that way for Corona, which just kind of changes how we have to live life now. Protests are common. It's common to have a protest here, a protest there, but to be protesting for months consistently on an international basis, especially to have people protesting for something that does not affect them, that's not so common. And even for the older generation, it's been a long time since they've seen people really come together for causes like this, be they causes that I agree with or causes that I don't. It's been a long time since we've been able to band for something. The last time that I saw any consistent protests were against Obama. And those, most of what I would see, at least in my area, were purely racially charged. They just didn't want a black man in the presidency. It wasn't an issue with his policies. It wasn't an issue with the things he was doing. It was just him as a person. And now we have people protesting things that I think are dumb. You know, anti-masking, sending the kids back to school, things that I think are silly. But there's still union in it. There's still a big force moving towards something. And it's really nice when that big force moving towards something is moving towards something that I also care about. Black Lives Matter movement, helping Yemen, LGBTQ rights. You know, it's just nice to see people come together for an important cause. Yeah, I guess this video really has no proper way to end, so I'm just going to stop talking. Comment down below some of your discoveries and your thoughts about 2020, because this has, like I said, been a crazy turbulent year, and it's just something that has to be discussed. Like, I'm uploading every day for the next 30 days, well, not the next 30 days, every day for 30 days. So please subscribe so that you will be notified to check back in tomorrow to see my next video. I'm gonna move over here so that you can click on some of my links. They will take you to others of my videos and a subscribe link. The reason I'm doing 30 videos in 30 days is because I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers. So if you would press the subscribe button, that would really help me accomplish my goal. Please check out my Black Lives Matter video to see some ways that you can help in some of the causes that I find important. And if you find something else important, feel free to pursue that. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I hope that 2020 kicks off. I don't want the year to just be wasted. I don't want to just, you know, it's already been 7 months. I don't want to have to spend the next 5. Yeah, math's not my thing. I don't want to have to spend the next 5 just sitting around as I've been doing now. I really hope that we can progress and like get back to life happening. But I don't know. It seems kind of unlikely. Thank you for listening to my ramblings, and I will see you guys next time. Till then, toodle it. I'm going to take some thumbnail pictures, but you can just go ahead and click my links and go. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Till then, toodle. Bye!